We're an island nation, drawn to the sea that surrounds us. A playground for some. For others, it's where they make their living. But the sea's unpredictable. It can change in an instant.
The sea takes no prisoners. You always have to be prepared for the worst.
The sea is a beast. If you weren't anxious about it, you're not doing the right job.
The water was freezing.
I was thinking I was going to die.
There to save our lives is a volunteer army of over 5,000 ordinary people, ready to leave their jobs, their families, and race to our rescue.
Steady, steady. Go for it.
When the pagers go off, your heart stops. Is this a life and death situation?
In the water.
You're okay, pal.
Let go of the sail, mate. Let go of the sail.
Even that 1 second could make a huge difference to someone at home. 1 minute they've got a son or a daughter, the next minute they may not.
There we go. Emily, high five. Well done. Nice one.
I didn't think we'd get them back. I was just thinking, just please.
Are you the parents?
The lifeboat crew, without them, there's no doubt about it, we'd have lost our girls.
Equipped with their own cameras,
Am I switched on?
It's on.
the crews give us a unique insight into every call-out as only they see it.
Good stuff, that's it.
Speeding into the roughest storms, searching for people who may only have moments to live.
Gotcha.
For those who risk their lives, it has become a way of life.
If something goes wrong, you could be the only person between them and death.
Southwest England, miles of golden beaches and sparkling seas are a magnet for tourists from all over the UK and beyond.
We've got great surf, exciting conditions if you're into that, I suppose. I mean, each to their own. A lovely coastline that changes every day, and every day is different.
The Cornish town of Newquay alone hosts over 1 million visitors a year. Watching over them are a crew of 26 lifeboat volunteers ready to come to their rescue.
The coastline around here and the patch around Newquay is rugged, it's ready, and it's rough. The beautiful beaches that spread through the Newquay Bay, our natural beach of Fistral is renowned throughout the UK as the best surfing beach. It's a beautiful place.
But the rugged beauty of this coast brings with it many dangers. Hundreds of ships have sunk here over the years. Today, their wrecks have become a playground for underwater adventure seekers coming to Newquay.
Scuba diving's taken off loads. I mean, it's perfect, beautiful conditions, like you're like some of the best diving anywhere. You know, you can be, it's like you're abroad diving here sometimes. It's crystal clear visibility. I'm a bit biased because I'm a diver and I love this coast.
Early May. The sun's shining, the waters are calm.
Attention, lifeboat launching.
But the Newquay crew are on alert whatever the weather.
Please clear the area.
It's a Mayday call, the highest level of maritime emergency. It means life is in imminent danger. A scuba diver has been discovered underwater and unconscious near a shipwreck 2 miles out at sea.
Anytime you hear unconscious or anybody in the water, yeah, the hammer's down. We're getting there as fast as we can.
Even at a top speed of 35 knots, it will take the Atlantic B-class lifeboat several minutes to arrive on scene.
If he's under the water, we've got no way of finding them.
To be perfectly blunt about it, unconscious diver, I'm thinking that they're going to be dead. Knowing the depth of the wreck, having dived it an awful lot myself, 34, 36 metres, I think, you're not likely to come back from that sort of depth, really. That is, you know, that's well up there.
You'd hope that every diver has a buddy. The buddy will return with the injured diver to the surface. I'm always thinking worst case scenario because that's the background I come from. What am I going to do? What's the worst thing we could find? What and how am I going to deal with this individual?
A Coast Guard search and rescue helicopter is already overhead. The crew of the dive boat have managed to pull the diver out of the water.
He's surfaced unconscious. A bit of foam's come out of his mouth. He's now conscious. We've had him on O2 for about 5-10 minutes.
Ash is there. He's the main man there. He's the paramedic, I think.
The casualty has regained consciousness. Paramedic Ash assesses his condition and tries to keep him stable while the crew come up with a plan to get him to essential medical care as fast as possible.
It was a miracle. He had oxygen on. He was to some degree conscious.
Right, Colin. So, although he was not fully alert, he was fatigued. This was a poorly individual that I would say is time critical.
How deep did you dive? I got 31 where I was.
The crew's concern only increases with the news he was found over 30 meters down.
That's deep.
It's 100 foot. Now, 100 foot, how do you visualise that? Look at a rugby pitch or a football pitch, the length of it. That's how deep this guy was on the bottom of the sea without his air loop, unconscious.
Try and get you to your feet, mate. Yeah. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Just have a seat there.
The crew's biggest fear is that the diver may be in the grip of decompression sickness, also known as the bends.
So the bends is where small bubbles become entrapped in joints into the blood vessels from not regulating at certain depths.
Put your feet round first. No, do guys. Do your feet round first, and then bring the head round. Feet round. Right, I've got him over my side.
It's fine when you're going down, when you're descending, it's when you're coming back up. If you come back up too quick, it becomes entrapped within the body, and then it causes obviously significant pain, illness, and possible death.
All right. We're going to put you up the front of the boat, all right, and then we're going to get this oxygen back on you.
Slide out, that's it.
It's all about getting them into a decompression chamber as fast as possible.
The closest decompression chamber is 50 miles away in Plymouth. The fastest way there is by air.
Another couple of goes and you're all but there.
But as they start the transfer, the diver's condition goes downhill fast.
There you go. He was coming round, but he was slipping in and out of consciousness. You could see him drop away, and pretty quickly.
Right, I want your bum down on the floor, fella. All right, so we're going to be moving. So feet down, feet forward.
Down on the floor, we'll help lower you down, okay? Me and Tim will help you lower you down.
He was ghastly, he was grey, he was white.
1, 2, 3.
There you go.
That's lovely.
All right, Tim, we got you.
The colour of a patient can indicate many things. It can indicate something from someone suffering from a significant bleed to someone that is lack of oxygenation and circulation of their body and the blood. So is their heart, is the pump working properly? Is it circulating the oxygenated blood around the body appropriately? Or has he shut down?
Cole, so listen to me. Any change in the way you feel other than any pains or discomfort? Feel exhausted, all right.
You're still against the clock for all this stuff, really. Every minute that diver is not being recompressed there, the more nitrogen's coming out, there's more risk of brain issues and then nitrogen bubbles in your circulatory system.
We're going to drop a winchman down. We're going to winch you up into the helicopter.
As the crew get in position for the sea-to-air evacuation, there's no room for error.
The helicopter and lifeboat then come under formation, so the helicopter all choose their speed.
It's going to get a bit windy.
They'll pick a direction into wind, usually, that they want to travel, and then we will formate onto the helicopter.
Being under a helicopter is a different beast again. It's another challenge. The downdraft from such aircraft as we have here is extreme. The winds created, the pressure underneath the aircraft are blowing you backwards. The noise is phenomenal and it's quite relentless, but you've got to stay focused because that is part of it. If you get it wrong, it can go dangerously wrong. The helicopter moves away and we do what we call a handover.
Right.
Hello, buddy.
This is Colin.
Hiya, Colin.
Colin's 61 years of age.
Yeah.
He was going down on a dive, started to feel a little bit unwell.
Yeah.
Was found by a buddy instructor at 31 metres.
31, yeah.
Unresponsive.
That's fine, so we're going to take you to Plymouth. When we get up there, I'm probably going to have to cut some of your stuff off you, okay? Because I'm going to do an ECG as soon as we get up there.
The winch wires arrived, I've grabbed the wire, the winchman's grabbed it off me, he's clicked on, and before you know it, both have lifted and gone.
The casualty is flown 50 miles to Plymouth. Just a few hours ago, he was getting ready to dive the wreck of the Siracusa with instructor Jordan.
It was meant to be just a nice dive on a wreck, taking the day nice and easy, nothing too forceful, nothing too stressful, just nice, easy, simple dive.
Over 30 meters down, Jordan noticed someone was missing from the group. He found the casualty without his mouthpiece, unconscious.
There was no sign of life, there was no struggling, there was no signals, there was nothing other than the occasional twitch from an arm. All I knew was I had to get this diver back to the surface. When you see a diver's face, just looking up at the surface and just completely lifeless, I mean, it's something that I hope I never see again. I hope no one in my team ever sees again, but that is something that's really kind of just cemented in my memory at this point in time.
The casualty, Colin, had been diving for 22 years. After he was rushed to hospital, 5 days later, Colin was discharged.
The last thing I can remember is at 20 metres, I thought, oh, the wreck will be coming, I shall be able to see it with my torch. I shone that down. After that, I can't remember anything. I'm not sure what happened. Well, the reason I've gone unconscious on that day still not been resolved. I don't know if it ever will be. They did say it pointed to the fact that I might have had an heart attack. I feel very grateful. I mean, I have sent letters to the RNLI and personally thanking them, and I've rung Jordan up as well.
To go for an ascent from 32 metres without anything really in your mouth, not taking a single breath, to somehow coming around on the surface. I mean, the human body is an amazing thing. For it to survive that amount of trauma and to still come through, honestly, it's just mind-blowing.
Did he make a difference? He saved his life.
We'll be lucky to see another one of these with a good outcome, bearing in mind all the factors in play here, the depth, diving, and all the things that go with it. You know, yeah, I think he's exceptionally lucky.
The emergency services as well, how critical it were to get me in that time period so fast. Without them that day, I wouldn't be here. My family wouldn't have it. I mean, my son wouldn't have a dad. My wife wouldn't have an husband, you know. Yeah, incredibly grateful. They do a fantastic job, really.
A 100 miles away in South Wales lies the seaside town of Porthcawl. Facing out onto the Bristol Channel, the lifeboat volunteers here keep guard over nearly 20 miles of craggy rock faces and sandy coves.
We've kind of got a treacherous patch, really, and when it's stormy, the sea picks up and it hits our coastline quite hard. It can be a very dangerous place to be, but it's also a lovely place to be as well.
Not just popular with the bucket and spade brigade, the Atlantic swells that roll in also make it a surfing hotspot.
The busiest beach in Porthcawl for water sports is definitely Rest Bay. You get really nice waves coming in there when the conditions are good, which attracts a lot of surfers, a lot of kayakers.
It's a traditional seaside town. It has its quirks, it has beautiful beaches, and there's a pretty good chip shop on the seafront too.
One One of Porthcall's youngest recruits is 18-year-old Yaya. When he's not on duty on the Deep Fryer, he's on duty on the lifeboats.
I joined so young because of my father. He'd been on the crew for 20 plus years, so sort of following in the family's footsteps. When I was looking for a job, I was sort of looking for somewhere where I knew I'd be able to run to the station, and I knew the bosses would be okay with me leaving.
Yeah, apparently I am the boss, yeah. There's that. It's my sentence.
With over 100 launches a year, the route from the chip shop to the lifeboat station has become a well-trodden path.
The technique is, as soon as you come from outside the boathouse, you check for the traffic. If it's clear, just commit straight across the road, and then you know you've got a clear run down. If it's busy, you maintain your route on this side of the pavement.
It takes me about half a minute running down there.
Yayan's run is more of a skip. I don't know what it is with him, but he just can't seem to get the momentum going. And obviously you want to be on this boat. We put a lot of time and effort into the training, so you want to be out there helping people.
April, 7 p.m. An urgent call comes in from the Coast Guard. A surfer is in trouble off Rest Bay Beach.
Rest Bay can be dangerous if you're not familiar with the currents there.
He's been caught in a rip current, a powerful channel of water flowing out from the shore that can be difficult to spot. Notorious among locals, this one is known as the Rest Bay Bus.
It's called the Rest Bay Bus because of how frequent it is. It's there every time there's a high tide, and just how quick it is, really. Like you can get caught out by it quite quickly.
On a really strong tide, say a big spring tide, not even the strongest of paddlers can get back.
Today, the tide is set to rise nearly 10 meters. In these conditions, anyone caught in the rip current risks being swept onto the rocky outcrop of Hutchins Point.
Once you get in close, good chance you're going to get smashed up onto the rocks, which are jagged, sharp, which are going to cause you a lot of injury.
In places, it's a sheer cliff face, and obviously the harm to somebody should they try and climb out and fall could really be catastrophic, maybe even fatal.
Yeah, we'll just go straight out, all right?
The lifeboat crew here aim to launch in 7 minutes. Today they're on the water in 5. The alarm was raised by the local Coast Watch volunteers. Now from their watchtower, they spot a second person in the water. A paddleboarder trying to tow the surfer out of danger.
I went into the shore break and asked him if he was okay. I don't think he really answered me. I just said, look, you just follow me out. I got him to sort of start paddling alongside me to try and get back to Rest Bay. But he kept stopping. And if you stop there in that current, you will start to go backwards. At that point, he looked exhausted. There was no way I would be able to get him out.
Three minutes after launching, the crew reach the surfer.
All right, guys. Are you going to paddle back yourself?
I'll paddle back, yeah, it'll be all right.
How you doing? You just hang on to there a sec. We'll drag you in, all right? We'll come further down the boat. Is the leash still on you?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you take the leash off, mate, please.
The surfer looked quite shaken, quite scared, and sort of wanting to get on the boat and out of the water.
Sorry, I'm shaking with it.
At this time of year, the sea temperature is less than 10 degrees. The surfer has now been in the water for nearly 2 hours.
That's it, hold it there. That's right. Okay. Well, do you think you can help pull yourself in as well? Yeah. Okay, on 3, 2, lift. Okay, mate. It's all right. Take your time. You're all right. That's all right. Take your time. Right, just grab a seat there. All right.
I should tell I'm diabetic. I think I've gone a bit low.
Yeah, that patch.
What's that?
It's diabetic.
So finding out the casualty had diabetes sort of turned the shout into a casualty care job.
Sorry, shaking.
Instantly, we became a bit more concerned for his welfare.
Then thinking, what other equipment do we have on the boat that we may need? You don't want to scare them in any way.
We'll take you back to the station. It's only there. We'll get you back at the rest bay as well. We'll get you some chocolate, and then we'll get you dried off as well. Is that all right?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
With the added complication of the surfer's diabetes, the crew head back to base to get him checked over.
You've obviously been burning energy like fury now with the adrenaline as well.
Tim had gone out for a surf after work when he got caught in the rip current.
I got dragged really quickly. No matter how hard I paddled, I was just getting dragged towards the rocks. No matter what I did, I was stuck. I just couldn't get out. It was like for every time I'd take sort of 5-10 strokes, I'd be going back 20. I didn't know what was going to happen next. I really didn't know at that point. The alternative didn't bear thinking about at that time, you know?
Have you used this before?
No, I haven't.
All right, cool.
Oh, yeah, it's very similar to what
Yeah, it's going to be similar to... do you want to do it inside? We'll do it inside if that's... all right.
The crew give Tim some much-needed glucose solution to help regulate his blood sugar.
I knew about diabetes from the casualty care course I've done and things I've done in school with biology. I'd say the shout was definitely a good experience, just understanding how quickly someone can deteriorate, but also at the same time how quickly they can perk back up once you've given them the sugar they need.
All right, help yourself. There's your tea minus the tea bag by the looks of the colour on that. So, in fairness, he is out of practice making tea. I'll give him that.
Lifeboat stations run on tea, I believe. So, yeah, tea fixes a lot of things.
It was my blood sugars because I could sense they were low. Now you've given me glucose and I've had a cup of tea and some chocolate. I feel fine.
Okay, and that's how you would normally manage it if you were feeling...
Exactly, it's exactly the same. It's just amazing to know that you have all these people that you don't know that are just there around to help when you're in a situation that you never thought you'd find yourself in.
All right, Tim, you take care of yourself, mate. All right, nice to meet you. Take care.
Given the state of the surfer, I definitely think that if there was no one there to assist him, if the paddleboarder hadn't assisted him, if no one had seen him, I think it could have proved to be quite fatal. It was a good outcome. We got the casualty back safe and he got better, so I'd say it's a job well done indeed.
Since the RNLI was founded in 1824, its lifeboat volunteers and lifeguards have saved more than 140,000 lives. Today, as more people spend their leisure time in the sea, the volunteer crews guarding our coastline are busier than ever.
There is no end of situations that people can find themselves in. Everything can change in a very short space of time.
Even on nice sunny days, things go wrong. You can break down and get into trouble quite quickly.
You're alone, one person.
Yes, I'm alone.
You can really quickly fall foul of the conditions.
When it comes to the sea, you've got to have that awareness of you'll never beat it. The sea's a beast, and if you don't respect it, it can bite you.
For the most part, we're able to help people out of that situation, but that doesn't always happen.
I think they underestimate the sea's abilities.
It never ceases to amaze me how many people get cut off by the tide. Or head out on kayaks or inflatables without any safety gear or knowledge of the wind or tide.
How are you planning on getting back, like? You paddle back? In this wind against this tide? I don't think so, matey.
You don't want to rely on luck at all when you're out there. That's where we come in.
I think the plan is to evacuate by helicopter. We're going to get you seen to hospital.
You know, at the end of the day, that's what we're there to do, and it doesn't matter
who it is out there, you know, we will go and get them, like, it doesn't matter who it is.
Any chest pains? Nothing at all, you sure?
Yeah, this is good.
Just extremely cold.
The nicest thing a casualty has said to me, personally, I think, is thank you very much for coming and saving my life. That really sinks in, that, when somebody says thank you very much.
Along the Dorset coast, lying just within Christchurch Harbour, is the small village of Mudderford. Fishing has always been an important part of the community here, but over recent years the tourism industry has also flourished.
It's a fantastic place. There's a lovely harbour and quite a famous sand spit, which has some particularly expensive beach huts on it. And I think that's what most people associate with Mudderford.
There's been an inshore lifeboat here since 1963, but that wasn't the beginning of the village's life-saving history.
This is our Wall of Fame. The main one is my grandfather, Ken Derham. He was awarded the silver medal in 1959 for a rescue, which he did from his dinghy, which is hanging up in the station. This is what the original lifeboat was for Mudderford.
Before the modern lifeboat arrived, Ian's grandfather Ken would put to sea in an open rowing boat to save those in danger.
I think he always just, he saw the need for a rescue service. It's crazy. I mean, you think about the old times when the fishermen used to go out in the rowing boats, and you just think they hardly had any protection, and you just wouldn't do it these days.
In 1959, the RNLI decorated Ken for his daring rescue of 2 boys from a capsized fishing boat in terrible conditions. 4 years later, they based an inshore lifeboat at Mudderford permanently.
I don't think anybody thinks of themselves. We don't when we're going out on the lifeboat. We don't think about ourselves. We're here to help people who are in trouble. It's a timely reminder of where our humble beginnings started. We do sort of give the lifeboat history or the station history to new members when they join. Otherwise, these pioneers would be lost to history, and they need to be remembered. I'm proud to follow my father, my grandfather into the life of the RNLI.
And those were 18, so they're not strictly speaking.
Since the days when Ken rowed out single-handed, there are now 35 local volunteers ready to answer the pager's call. These days, they're more likely to get called out to pleasure craft than fishing boats, as water sports enthusiasts have taken over the often treacherous seas on their patch.
It can get pretty rough around Mudderford. There isn't an awful lot to shelter us here. You don't have to go far to be hit with the full force of the weather and the sea.
Between the Isle of Wight and Hurst Castle, you've got very extreme currents going through there.
It easily gets up to 6 knots on a spring tide down through there. So the tidal effect can make a very hazardous situation in that area.
March, early morning. A sudden storm has sent gale-force winds tearing up the channel. A 999 call has come in from a member of the public. Offshore, a windsurfer has been spotted in the water and is in trouble.
The weather was crazy on that day. You can see the white on the water, and you know it's going to be pretty foul.
"58-mile-an-hour winds have whipped the sea up into a 3-metre swell. The crew will have to battle every inch of the way to reach the windsurfer's last known position, over 6 miles away.
I would say it's right up there with some of the worst conditions I've been out in.
The swells, 2 to 3 metres. Over.
Yeah, we were certainly getting soaked and drenched. You do get a bit of a beating in these boats, which is why you have to control your speed.
That's a nice big one. Woo. It was enough for the helm to have to turn into the waves repeatedly en route to stop the boat from being barrel rolled by swell that was coming in.
The reported location is now in their sights, but the deteriorating conditions are already pushing boat and crew to their limits.
We couldn't get close to shore because of the breaking water in there. You just wouldn't be able to do any sort of searching.
Also looking on the shoreline, see if we can find anybody waving at us or anything.
There's no sign of the windsurfer. The crew need to come up with a new plan.
The wind was so strong that you got an indication that whoever you're looking for is definitely going to be downwind of where they were seen, because they couldn't possibly be upwind because it was wild.
Guy on the shore pointing over there. He was pointing this way.
As we were going along, somebody on the shoreline did actually indicate to us by pointing further to the east.
With nothing else to go on, the crew head further east and further away from where the windsurfer was first spotted.
You get some fairly choppy seas in that vicinity.
Even in the smallest of swell, it can be difficult to see a person in the water.
When you start putting in waves and swells, it becomes almost like a needle in a haystack.
It's not only the casualty is bobbing up and down, you're bobbing up and down. And if your bobbing up and down doesn't match with the casualties bobbing up and down, well, you might not see them.
It's been over 15 minutes since the call came in. The crew have no idea how long the casualty has been in the water. But in these conditions, survival times are measured in minutes.
Hypothermia is certainly one of the main things we're considering. Once that sets in, it can have such an effect on the body that they can go downhill really quite rapidly.
Also, with the rough conditions, you've got to worry that he could drown.
You try and put the negative thoughts out. You need to be thinking positive that there is somebody that you're going to save. You don't want to be thinking it's too late.
Lieutenant Coastguard Special Lifeboat. So we've conducted a search along the coastline from Newquay down to Hurst.
Heading further away from the original position, there's still no sign of the windsurfer.
After a while, once we've done a search or something and we haven't found anything, and then you're going to think, well, the length of time that's been, whether you are now looking for a person or a body.
Sorry about that. So there's just my colleague is currently doing that now. Over there.
Mel managed to spot something. That little glimpse could be what you're looking for.
We had some big swell on the way out, but when we got to him, it was just a big mess.
I should think felt like he was inside of a washing machine.
Right. Okay, you ready? Yeah, okay. Well done, mate. Oh.
He was in amazingly good spirits, really, I would say, considering what he'd probably just been through.
Once on board, the windsurfer reveals he's been in the water for nearly an hour and a half.
I mean, Milford's pretty rough now.
Oh, yeah, we just can't even get in there. Yeah.
He just seemed quite calm, remarkably calm, in fact. And he was as well dressed as you would have expected a windsurfer to have been, so he was wearing a really thick steamer wetsuit.
An experienced windsurfer, his mast had snapped, leaving him stranded 500 metres offshore and at the mercy of the conditions.
It was just a malfunction. Boats out have malfunctions all the time. It's just part and parcel of the jobs that we do.
I think he probably didn't realise quite how difficult those conditions were, or how much trouble he might have been in.
So the casualty had probably drifted 1.5 miles at least from where we initially started the search, and you know, would have just kept going. So there's a good chance that he'd have been heading back out to sea.
It's gratifying personally to be the person that spotted them. You know, you kind of feel like, yay. But actually, you know, the bigger thing is that, thank God, someone reported someone in the water and you've seen them.
Over 100 miles away, along the Kent coastline, is the historic port of Dover.
Most people visit Dover to go to France. No, people come to us because we've got the castle from the war, and like I say, it's coming over to France and to see the White Cliffs of Dover if they can.
The White Cliffs watch over the Dover Strait, one of the world's busiest shipping lanes.
Dover Port Patrol, this is Dover Lifeboat, Dover Lifeboat.
Coxswain John has been a member of the Dover crew for over 2 years and knows the hazards of these waters only too well.
It's a reasonable patch, but it's very, very busy, as you probably understand. There's several hundred movements of large container vessels, freight vessels, that run up and down the channel every day, and then in the season there's a lot more small craft about, so it is a very, very busy stretch of water.
Patrol, Dunkirk Seaways, we're running a stand for number 3, thank you.
As you can hear from the radio, you know, there's a lot of traffic, a lot of vessels moving. When you launch, it could be anything.
Every day, up to 600 ships pass through the Dover Strait along 2 shipping lanes. Between them runs a small safety zone, marked by a lightship to keep large vessels apart and away from the notorious Varn sandbank.
The idea is to avoid collisions, and being a lifeboat, we've got to try and wiggle our way through, sort of thing. So yeah, it is like crossing a motorway at rush hour.
Sometimes we can look like a pinprick compared to some of these guys when you're talking sort of 300-400 metre long vessels and we're only 17 metres, and you see them out the window coming past you or alongside you. It can be a bit daunting sometimes. Some of these ships can take a mile to stop. They're designed to keep going. They're not designed to stop and have great manoeuvrability.
Dover Coast Guard, this is Dover Lifeboat. Dover Lifeboat, Tower 0.
An August evening, the channel is crammed with craft, including the Dover lifeboat, out training. The Coast Guard radio in. A yacht has issued a mayday. They're taking on water near the Varn lightship.
So that's a very dangerous place to be at the best of times without a vessel taking on water and potentially sinking.
Although the crew are already on the water in their 7-class lifeboat, the largest in the fleet, they're still 20 minutes away from the stricken yacht.
We're still tied up, men!
We don't know if he's got steerage, if he's sailing or motoring at the time. And with the vessels travelling around there, there's that added potential for getting run over.
You two stay back, no fenders. No need to have enough fenders, boys.
You don't know how quickly it's taking on water, if you're going to be picking the people up out of the water themselves.
Outside!
How many people are on board? Are the people able to do anything? Are they experienced seamen? There's a lot going through your mind on your way to a job. Once the buoyancy of a boat is gone, they'll sink within seconds.
Oh, mate.
That's our weight, by the way.
Yeah, it's all right.
What do you want?
0.
20 minutes after the call came in, the crew find the yacht still afloat.
So the yacht itself didn't actually look too bad. It wasn't listing over with what we'd have expected to find with a vessel taking on a lot of water.
I'm going to pass 2 crewmen to you.
And actually you take a lot of comfort from the skipper being very calm.
The guy could not have been happier to see us.
I was worried, but trying to give it the, no, nothing to worry about. You know, stiff upper lip.
We're going in, looks like we're going in here.
Colin and his wife were heading to France when Sue, feeling seasick, had gone below deck and discovered water flooding in.
When I saw the level of water, I was worried. So I went back up and said to Col, I think you better come and have a look at this. I think we might be in trouble.
There's a hatch in the cabin, and it was up to the bottom of that hatch in seawater. We had about 1.2 tons of seawater in the boat, which we must have accumulated in less than an hour. My biggest concern was that the boat would continue to take on water and that we would sink.
To make matters worse, the tide was pulling the yacht closer to the shipping lanes, where more than 20 cargo ships pass through every hour.
Those things are moving quickly. So in 20 minutes, 30 minutes, there could have been 4 or 5 of the things hammering down the channel.
With the wind and tide against them, it could have taken 5 hours to get to the safety of Dover.
The question I was asking myself was, do I have 5 hours? And as I looked down at the water lapping about at the bottom of the cabin, so I thought, no. Whereupon I started a dialogue with the Coast Guard.
Now the crew's priority is to get the yacht and themselves out of the danger of the shipping lanes as fast as possible. But first, while there are no ships in sight, they need to stop the yacht from sinking. And one crew member is already abandoning ship.
The lady was adamant she was getting off.
There we go.
I was certainly much better off in a quiet corner of the lifeboat with my sick bag.
Where are we taking on water?
The water was actually lapping the top.
We've now got water coming up over the deck, so it's quite apparent we are actually still taking on water.
It was coming up under one of the hatches. We lifted the hatch and like Ben told me to see how deep it was, so I put my arm in and it kind of kept going.
Okay, well that's quite deep, so we'll drain all of that out.
It was relatively bad, but it wasn't like catastrophic. We could save it. We could do something.
Fortunately, the 40-ton 7 class has enough room to hold just the right kit for this type of emergency.
We have the pump!
Stowed on board is a portable salvage pump.
This is going to be fun, Saf. There's not a great deal of room up here.
It can shift up to 170 gallons of water per minute. But it requires some elbow grease to get it going.
You have to get the water into the pipework first, which can be the challenge, especially if you're working in a confined area where you can't move the pipe or draw the water in quick enough.
Is that pumping yet?
You're trying your hardest to get this thing going and it just doesn't want to go.
You getting anything, Lee?
You've got the casualty watching.
I was perturbed.
Myself and Saffron are in dry suits,
Is that pumping yet?
which is a bit like boiling a bag.
Bloody hot, isn't it?
It was boiling. It was, I think it must have been one of the nicest days of the summer. There was no wind. It was flat as a pancake.
I had to keep taking breaks from trying to get the pump to prime because I honestly thought I was going to pass out with heat exhaustion at one point.
Hey! Is that pumping? Hey, that!
Massive sigh of relief.
Oh, Lee, that's empty! Yeah, it's empty.
After nearly 15 minutes of heavy pumping, the yacht is finally drained of water.
We're happy that you cancelled Mayday. For your information, Mum, we have the vessel under tow now. We'll be proceeding back towards Dover.
Now they can begin the tow back to the safety of the shore.
Being in the shipping lane isn't the best place to be sitting around. It's like trying to change a spare wheel in the fast lane. So the decision was made to get the vessel under tow and at least get us out of the shipping lane.
Really hot.
The way I reflect is that it could have been infinitely worse.
In retrospect, we were very lucky that Sue was feeling ill and went down and detected the fact that we had a problem.
Had I not been seasick that day, we may not have gone down below for another hour, possibly.
You'd be surprised at the difference an hour can make. It could have been a case that we would have turned up looking for 2 people because the vessel could have gone down. It can make that much of a difference. You do have a nice feeling that you've done your bit. You've got 2 people home and you've managed to save their yacht as well. So it does give you a nice feeling.
Back in Porthcawl, it's in the summer months that the town and the lifeboat crew are at their busiest.
You got people come down from the valleys. You got people from England coming over. I think we've got the biggest caravan park in Wales here.
Crowds take to the water in just about anything that floats.
You'll have people going out on inflatables and getting dragged out to sea, people walking along the beaches and getting cut off purely because they don't know about the tides and not knowing how quickly the tides can come in. Like we're in, I think it's the 2nd highest tidal range in the world, so it comes in quite quick.
A hot August afternoon, a Mayday call comes in.
So normally a Mayday is when someone's in grave and imminent danger.
A Mayday call is the most extreme you'll have.
One person going to mile out on 120.
Thank you.
Another person going.
2 people have capsized in a dinghy off Newton Point. One has been separated from the boat and is floating offshore.
We come down the slipway that day. We could see the 2 casualties are separated. One casualty was holding onto the dinghy, so we knew he'd be okay. We just needed to get the one who was being pushed out to sea, really. The tide was taking him out.
A casualty in the water raises both the stakes and the urgency of the call.
Let's go. Yeah, let's go. Yeah, let's go.
The Atlantic 85 launches with the minimum crew needed to go to sea.
Normally we try and launch it with 4 crew. We can launch that boat with 3 crew.
It was a Mayday. It was people in the water.
Well, Flame Coast got Porthcawl lifeboat currently about to launch. There are 3 crew on board.
The crew pushed the lifeboat to its top speed of 35 knots. With little information to go on, they must assume the worst.
We didn't know if the casualty was wearing a life jacket or if he wasn't.
When there's a person in the water who's in imminent danger, then every single second counts.
To make matters worse, the outgoing tide is sweeping the sailor away from shore and out towards the Bristol Channel.
We were in the 3rd hour of
the ebbing tide, which is the strongest state of the tide. You're looking at a tidal rate of up to 4 knots.
Even the strongest of swimmers would struggle against a tide of this force.
You're thinking about his physical condition, his fatigue, how much longer can he swim for? Got to get this guy ASAP, because, you know, in the space of 10 minutes, he could have drifted sort of half a mile from his last known position, and then he would have been a lot more difficult to locate.
On the bow, starboard.
By the time they spot the sailor a minute and a half after launching, he's already a mile out from shore.
He was moving so quick with the tide going out.
Hi, mate. Contact! You all right? You all right?
Yeah. Yeah, we capsized. Thanks.
Yeah. You're fine, yeah?
Yeah, I'm fine,
Lovely.
yeah. Just a bit of a long swim, that's all.
The dinghy sailor had been at sea for 45 minutes.
Did you get a call?
Yeah.
He was just relieved to see us. You know, when he got into the boat, he was like, I've been swimming like mad and not going anywhere. And you could understand that. You know, he was swimming against the spring tide.
I just relayed to Milford that we got the one man aboard, yeah? Milford, even Coast Guard, Porthcawl, like, whatever.
You could see yourself disappearing from his mate who was in the capsized dinghy, so he knew he was getting taken out.
That's all copied, sir. We're approaching the vessel now.
With one man recovered, the crew's next job is to rescue the second sailor, now half a mile away with the capsized dinghy.
Yeah, no, it's still.
You put one guy in to give you a hand to right it, okay? Your fella's all right, yeah? And we'll see how we go once you've righted it, okay? Oh, no, I can't right it. It's got water in the hull.
Right, okay.
It's got water in the hull.
Water in the hull, so
As soon as you've righted it, it's very unstable. Right, okay.
Whose boat is it? Hey? Whose boat is it?
Ah, right.
Yeah.
Friends Peter and Jonathan weren't long into their day's sail when they realised they'd forgotten a vital piece of equipment. A bung used to stop a hole in the back of the boat.
I was pretty annoyed, yeah. I was pretty annoyed that I was annoyed that I hadn't checked it. The boat was literally sinking, almost like a scene from Pirates of the Caribbean.
The waterlogged dinghy was too unstable for both men. Peter left Jonathan in the water to sail back to shore for help alone.
I was actually quite amazed by how quickly Peter seemed to be making progress towards the shore.
But he didn't make it far.
I started sailing, but by this stage, the boat was really had a lot of water inside it. It capsized a few times and I managed to get it up, but it capsized, I wasn't able to right it. And that was the point at which I thought, right, okay, we need help.
I was overboard at sea. Yeah, there was nobody else around other than Peter, who was quite a long way away at that point.
It's going.
Now the two sailors are safe, the crew just have to recover the dinghy.
Theoretically, it should only take 2 people to right a dinghy like that.
Can you get the boat round the other side? Or not?
Let go!
It was a lot more difficult than we anticipated. We tried from all different angles how to right it. We was losing battle every time. The boat was still full of water, so quick as we was getting it up, the quicker it was falling back down.
Let go!
I do not think the crew appreciated me diving in.
He went under the boat a couple of times to push the centreboard out.
You alright?
Is he going to come back out? What's this guy doing? He doesn't need to be doing this. We're here to help him. And yeah, he's trying to save his own boat.
Oh mate, could you just stop going under for a minute now, yeah? Just calm down, we'll sort it out, right?
After nearly 20 minutes, the crew are ready to throw in the towel.
He's not going to stay up, is it?
God, they're actually going down channel, are they?
Luckily, Porth Call is equipped with 2 lifeboats and many willing volunteers.
2 lifeboats, 7 guys, 7 pairs of hands to try and rewrite that dinghy that day.
Go on, mate, go. Get in the boat, mate.
Think it was.
Go get on the 85. Huh? Jump on the 85.
We put a crew member in the back of the sailing dinghy, which stopped the bow dipping under the water all the time.
Yeah.
As they begin the mile-long tow back to shore, it's a chance to impart some local knowledge.
You'd have no chance of swimming back. Yeah, it's a big tide, so probably going out at 4 or 5 mile an hour, like, you know. So you imagine swimming against that. It's just a no-go. So
They totally did not understand the full strength of the tide in Porth Call.
2 foot of water.
Saved 2 lives, and your crew got back in one piece. So yeah, you feel like you made a difference.
Back home in East Lancashire, a few weeks after his close call underwater, Colin has made a difficult decision.
I think that's my days of diving done. At my age now especially, all good things come to an end, so it's more important to be healthy and alive.
Colin's donating his diving equipment to Jordan, the diver who saved him.
You can either sell it or keep it to dive with, whatever, and I think that's the best way. It prevents me going diving as well, so I think he appreciated it as well.
And in Porth Call, after his experience caught in the Rest Bay bus, surfer Tim is back out catching waves.
The first time I got back in was a couple of days ago, and there was a bit of trepidation, but really, you know, I wasn't that concerned, and it was fun. I enjoyed it. It's interesting, actually, after this accident, I've kind of started moving forward in my life in different ways. Just really enjoying my friends and family a lot more, even enjoying my work more. Everything just feels a little bit more present, more valid. Yeah, really.
It was too scary!
It's a bit like getting whiplash every sort of 10 seconds.
Stay there, we'll get you on the boat.
It was a bit of a shock that they were so young and so distressed. It's never nice seeing kids that upset.
She said.
It's like being in a washing machine. It was nasty.